I'd like to first start by doing a 1 minute silence for the 300 plus victims that died in the tower and the 300 plus survivors. So if we could start with a 1 minute silence. Thank you very much, everybody. So just to give you a bit of a background on June the 14th. So when I was at university, I used to live near the towers. We've got a Sikh temple right next door. Sikhs have been living in England for over 100 years. We've had a Sikh temple in that area for 100 years, which is called the Central Sikh Gurdwara, Sikh temple, and we've been part of the British community for that long. The main reason I'm here is to highlight the fact that so I grew up as a Londoner. I've always thought of myself as British, English sort of thing. I've never thought of myself as somebody of Indian origin. But from June the 14th onwards, what I've seen in the last 9 weeks has been very, very worrying, concerning. So firstly, you've had 300 plus actual victims, and the government have only declared officially 80. So it's a lie. So they've lied to the local community who are there every day. So when we arrived, because we were alerted by the temple, we thought we were going to supply food to victims and survivors, and it was going to be a one-day operation. Once we arrived and we saw the scale, we first ended up staying for the first 3 days. We were serving 1,000 plus meals a day to survivors, to volunteers, to family members. And the scale of the disaster, the only thing I can say is the closest thing is World War II, when the bombings happened in London. That was the closest thing. So we were there volunteering, thinking the government are coming, the army are coming, Red Cross, everybody's going to arrive, it's going to be a team effort. Unfortunately, nobody arrived. The government didn't come, the army didn't come, the council refused help from other local authorities, and we were there as volunteers day and night without any choice, having to look after the people of the local area. What I learned in the last 9 weeks, so I used to live in a little bubble thinking we live in England, nice country. I go and do volunteer work in India and in Africa, thinking because we've got such a good life, and we have in England got a very nice life. We travel around everywhere in Europe, and life is nice. So in the last 9 weeks, I've seen in the aftermath, because of the neglect of the government, we've had over 60 suicide attempts of family members who left behind their families to go and check to see what's going on and weren't allowed back in, who've had babies died, mothers who've lost children, and they've had survivor guilt where they wanted to kill themselves. We've actually had over 20 suicide attempts, 60 suicide attempts and 20 suicides, including firefighters which haven't been declared. Now all of this information has been suppressed by the government in the name of national security in order to prevent a summer of riots. So they've said that if the information goes out, England's going to riot. Now, we've asked for help with mental health care. Every week we fought with the media cameras there to just ask for basic human rights. You know, surviving a fire, being helped is your human right. We're a human society, it's not a privilege. And what I realised is that the community, people like all ourselves here today, we've actually got more power, more skill and more ability than the state. And that's something, when we came together as a community in the local area, we've helped each other. But the biggest thing I've learned, that humanity is a right, it's not a privilege. Food, clothes, accommodation is a human right. Now, what I've seen in the last 9 weeks is very concerning, because never have I experienced this much prejudice, racism, and difference between rich and poor. You know, one side of the borough we've got houses that are worth 10 million pounds because of Russian oligarchs. On the other side, you've got one of the poorest council estates in Europe. Never have I seen so much difference between rich and poor. Never have I seen that much difference towards refugee communities. Because the reality is the majority of the people who died were refugee communities from Syria, Iraq, Eritrea. There's a big Moroccan community there. And the Irish people died as well. And as a consequence, I've seen neglect on such a grand scale. First I was concerned, then I was ashamed. Now I grew up being a proud British citizen, a proud Londoner, thinking that I'm part of the global community. We're here, we're on one planet, it's our planet, we're here to enjoy the planet, we move around freely all over the world. But I didn't realise the actual consequences of the Brexit vote. The Brexit vote has led to a them and us society which we never had. The Brexit vote has led to a rich and poor, I'm alright Jack, I don't know about you. The Brexit vote has led to an increase in racism. Now, just to give you a background, over 2 million Sikhs fought in 2 world wars. And we fought in 2 European wars to unite humanity. We fought to unite people. Now, it wasn't a Sikh or an Indian or an Asian war, it was a European war between cousins, rich privileged cousins who weren't getting on with each other. And the fact that they didn't learn the lesson the first time with the Battle of the Somme and Gallipoli, they had to do it a second time to learn that killing each other is not the way humans work. You know, war is the failure of mankind. Peace